Good morning. Today we will be working on 10-3 on page 432. And today's lesson is about series trade discounts. So we will be calculating the invoice price for something that you buy if you're given a series of discounts. So in previous lessons, you saw that businesses frequently offer business customers trade discounts. Companies such as wholesalers often publish a catalog that lists items for sale and their prices. The price in that catalog is the list price, which is the price that a consumer might buy. The price that a retailer pays after a trade discount is called the invoice price, and that's what we will be calculating for today. Some wholesalers may give trade discounts that have two or more discounts, called discount series. For example, the trade discount you may have is 20%, 15%, 10%. So to calculate a series of discounts, we are just going to take each discount individually, calculate it, subtract it from the invoice price until eventually we get the discounted invoice price. So if you look at the example 1, the list price originally was $2,100 and it has a 25%, 10%, 5% discount. So it's not as easy as to just add 25 to 10 to 5. You have to incrementally discount the invoice price to end up with the total at the end. So looking at example 1, let's solve example A, or check for under. So going off of example 1, let's go ahead and solve A. So we're going to start with our list price, and this is kind of our equation, whatever it gives you in the problem. So in this example, it gives us a list price of $260, and our first discount is 30%. So we're going to subtract out the first discount. So 30% of 260 is 78. That leaves us with a remainder of 182. Okay, so then our second discount is based off of that remainder. Will be 20% times the remainder of 182. So we will have 3640. And we will have another remainder of 145.60. From there, we will repeat the process with the third discount. And it's not very common to have more than 3. 3 is pretty much the standard. So we're going to take 10% and multiply that by the remainder. So 10% of this is $14.56. So we end with our invoice price That's ultimately what we are looking for. Of 131.04. Okay, so I'm going to slowly solve B up here silently while you try to complete it on your own, and you can check your work as I go. Okay, so I end up with $85.12 after a 20% discount, 20%, 5%. So instead of paying $140 to the retailer, you will only pay this much because you are a wholesaler and you receive a series of discounts. So in order to solve this a little bit quicker, there's a few methods that accountants use. So we're going to look at 3 different ways to solve for a single discount equivalent. So the way that we solved it before was the longhand way, and you will receive exactly the same answer as if you were doing it these easier ways, but obviously this is the faster way to get to that exact same answer, where you really only have to do one major equation. So let's look at method 1. Okay, method 1 is the percent method. Okay, so using the percent method, you can take those discounts and subtract them from 100%. So the first way to do it is you take 100% minus the discount percentage minus the other discount percentage minus the other discount percentage, and that will give you the invoice percentage. Okay, you can then take that invoice percentage, multiply it by the list price or the original price, and that will give you the invoice total price. Okay, and we're going to do an example here after we learn about the different methods. So from this, though, you can also get the single equivalent discount percentage. And to do that, it's very easy. You just take 100% and minus this invoice percent. And that will give you the discount amount. So if we look at example 2, the list price or the series of discounts was 20%, 10%, 10%. So we took 100% minus 20%, 80% minus 8%, 72% minus 7.2%, and we get a invoice percentage of 64.8%. So we can take that 100% minus the invoice percent, and that gives us the single discount equivalent. So this method number 1 is the hardest way to solve the single discount equivalent. Method number 2 is definitely the laziest, but I think method number 3 is my favorite. So method 2 is a table. So there's a green table on page 434. And to use it, you match up all the rates. So the largest rate will be at the top, and the other two rates will be on the side. And where they meet in the middle, that is the invoice percent that we have up here. And then taking 100% minus the invoice percentage will give you the single discount equivalent. So again, to use the table, you have to match up the largest discount with the smallest, with the other two, I guess. And then after that, you find where it meets. Where they meet is the invoice percentage. And then 100% minus the invoice percentage is the single discount equivalent. Percentage. Okay. All right, so then we have method number 3. And that is the complement method. I truly think that this is even faster than the table method if you know how to use it efficiently. So complement percentages are just completely the opposite. So let's look at a few of those. So complement percentages tell you that if it's 10%, then its complement is 90%. The two of them add up to 100. If it's 20%, complement is 80%. So on and so forth. 25, 75, etc. Okay, so knowing all of those complements, all you have to do to solve in this method is take and multiply. It'd help if I could spell. Multiply the complement percentages together. Okay, and that will give you the invoice price percentage. So the invoice percentage okay, then just like before, 100% minus the invoice percent gives you the single discount equivalent. So what the single discount equivalent means is instead of a series of 20%, 10%, 10%, this would tell you that if you were just given one single discount, how much of a discount would you receive? And it should be higher than the first series of discounts. So taking all of this and putting it together, let's go ahead and solve C, D, and E. And that asks us to solve in all of the different ways. So C says using the percent method, find a series of discounts with 20%, 10%, 5%, and a list price of 900. So we're going to take 100%, and we're going to subtract out our first discount of 20. That gives us 80%. We're going to subtract 10 from 80%. That gives us 70%. We're going to subtract 5% from that, and that gives us 65%. This is our invoice percentage. Okay, so it asks us to find the amount of trade discount and the invoice price. So to find the invoice price, we can just simply take 900 times 0.65. The invoice price is $5.85. Okay, and then it also asks us to find the amount of trade discount. So we can take our invoice percentage and subtract it from 100. So our single trade discount is 35%. Okay, so we are discounted 35% from 900 to get 585. Okay, so that is the percent method. Now let's go ahead and do D using the table method. So if we have a series of discounts of 35 and 5 and a list price of 34.16, we can come over to the table and we start with the largest amount of 30 and go down to 5 and 5, and that gives us a discount invoice percentage of 0.63175. So we can take that amount that's in the column and we can multiply it by the 34.16 that they give us in the problem. So 34.16 times 0.63175, that gives us an amount that we have to, or that gives us the invoice price of $21.58. So that's our invoice amount. So if we want to know what our single discount equivalent is, we can just take 100% minus that 63.175%. And our discount equivalent would be 36.83% rounded. So that's our equivalent. Okay. Last, let's go ahead and use the complement method. So we have a series of discounts of 10, 25, 5. So those complements would be 0.90, 0.75, 0.95, so we would have a total of 0.64125, and that would be our invoice percentage. So our list price is $12.80. We can take that times 0.64125. And we would have to pay $8.21 rounded. And our discount equivalent would be the opposite of that. $35.88% rounded. This is our equivalent if they just gave us one single discount. Okay, so today's problems, I would like you to go ahead and do number 3 through 32 all. And remember, if you have any trouble at all, come back, look at the video. Tomorrow you will have a quiz over lessons 10-1, 2, and 3. You shouldn't necessarily need a note card, but if you really do need one, go ahead and use just one side of one. And then have a great spring break, and when we come back, we will do 10-4 on video as well, and I will see you back next Tuesday.